Hello everyone, JCS here. It's been a year and a half since I started my PhD program and I finally got the chance to talk about what it feels like to be a PhD student. I actually wanted to do this a long time ago, but I've been procrastinating like everyone else. Just kidding, I've been caught up with school and many other things. Of course, procrastinating a little bit. But without further ado, let's get right down to business. Right now, I am in the second year of my PhD program in political science at Tulane University of the United States. I'm pretty sure by the time I graduate, I'm going to be able to find a job waiting tables with my degree. Just kidding, but that might still happen because life is all about probability. Rest assured, school is tough, there's no doubt about that. And I would say the first semester was the hardest because it was my very first time to study and live in a pure English environment, something I had never done before. And I was not very happy about the courses we had in the first semester because all of them were required and there were no elective courses, and I really didn't like the feeling of no freedom. And I'm also kind of indoorsy. I made some new friends, but not too many. In the meantime, I also felt that I should deserve more, that Tulane was not my final destination. What can I say? I'm a narcissist. However, everything has changed since the second semester. I was on cloud 9. I was so happy. I think there are several reasons that contributed to my total change of attitude. Getting used to the new environment, being able to take elective courses, making new friends, enjoying the beautiful culture of New Orleans. And I talked to my colleagues about this attitude shifting thing, and a lot of them also felt way better in the second semester. So a piece of advice to those PhD students who are still struggling, just give it some time, things will get better. Speaking of colleagues, I would say people at school would also play a very important role in shaping your attitude. I am very proud to say that the chemistry of my cohort is superb and I have the best colleagues ever. PhD students can be competitive, that's true. But remember, we are not applying for college and everyone can graduate and the grades don't matter that much. So just be nice to people around you. Hang out together, complain about schoolwork in front of each other. Just remember, you are not alone. We're all in this together. So having good colleagues would definitely make your school life way better. There are two main types of work for graduate students, research assistant and teaching assistant. All of my colleagues and I were working as research assistant in our first year, and we start to work as teaching assistant in our second year. Research assistant is basically about collecting the materials professors ask for and also sometimes printing them out, and I got not too much to say about that. But being a teaching assistant is a different but a wonderful story. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of work. You have to do the grading and also the teaching. However, I absolutely enjoyed it. Not only because the professor I worked for is awesome, but most of the students I have taught were so polite and they also participated a lot in class. And of course, we gotta be careful with a certain level of sample bias here because Tulane is a private school and a lot of students here come from a very decent background. And that fact, to a certain degree, made my teaching experience so far not so bad. I have talked to a friend of mine who is also a TA in a state school, a public school, and her experience of being a teaching assistant is not so pleasant. And given the fact that English is not really my first language, so being able to teach a bunch of American students really helped me practice my English. So I am really grateful for that opportunity. In the meantime, I am also taking on the role of GSSA representative for our department. What does GSSA stand for again? Graduate Study Student Association. What a mouthful. I know a lot of graduate students would say doing such kind of job is a total waste of time because first of all, you don't get paid, and second of all, it is not helpful to your research at all. Well, that's partially true, but it also depends on what kind of career you are pursuing. To me, I don't want to work in academia. I want to work in real-world politics. And being a representative really helped me develop the communication and organizational skills that I really need. Also, I want to make everyone smile, so I want to start with people around me, and being the representative would also get me a very legitimate position to do all kinds of activities that are needed to build the cohesiveness of my cohort. I know my colleagues would agree with me. Life is miserable. Just kidding. I didn't really have much social life in the first semester, but I started to hang out with friends since the second semester. I went to karaoke, I went to a lot of interesting activities. Living close to the French Quarter really got its perks. One thing you can never really miss in New Orleans is Mardi Gras. Those marvelous parades will really make your day. Yeah, so my life here is wonderful. I totally love New Orleans. So that is just of my 1.5 year experience as a PhD student. There have been ups and downs, but overall, I would say it has been a pretty great journey, and I am only looking forward to something better in the future. But as I always tell myself, you don't just hope, you also work hard to make it happen. So if you're thinking about getting a PhD degree, just give it a shot. You'll never know what it truly feels like unless you're doing it yourself. Better to try and fail than never to try at all. And that wraps up this video. This is JCS. I'm gonna see you next time.